Some of the UK's best-selling ciders are hiding the kind of secrets that would make a cola bottle blush. We're talking drinks with more sugar than energy cans, ciders made with barely 35% real apple, and a few supermarket favourites are so artificially flavoured they should apologise every time you open them. The orchard fantasy is cute, but the truth is a lot uglier than anyone admits. This video ranks the 10 biggest UK ciders from the absolute disasters to the ones that still taste like the orchard. Before we begin, hit subscribe so you never miss these brutally honest breakdowns. 10. Frosty Jacks. Frosty Jacks isn't just bad. It's spectacularly awful, the kind of drink that feels like it escaped from a discount laboratory and somehow wandered into the alcohol aisle by accident. If you've ever walked past those gigantic plastic bottles on the bottom shelf and felt a strange chill, trust me, your instincts were correct. One glance at the ingredients and your brain starts screaming. Water, apple juice from concentrate, glucose syrup, more syrup, artificial sweeteners and preservatives that sound like they should be locked in a cupboard. Not a single hint of real orchard energy anywhere. And yes, it claims low sugar per 100 millilitres, which sounds innocent until you remember people don't sip Frosty Jacks like a fine wine. They inhale the entire 2.5 litre bottle. That low sugar suddenly becomes a whopping 30 plus grams in one go, and the sweetness doesn't even come from fruit. It comes from glucose syrup and saccharin, which explains why the flavour punches you in the mouth like a wet paper towel soaked in chemicals. This isn't cider, it's cider cosplay. Critics repeatedly call white ciders the murky back alley of the industry, and Frosty Jacks is the mascot. It tastes aggressive, hollow, and weirdly sharp, like someone carbonated disappointment. You don't drink this for pleasure, you drink it because you've given up on happiness for the evening. Frosty Jacks isn't just at the bottom of the list, it's the basement beneath the bottom, and we're locking the door behind it. 9. Bulmers Toffee Apple. Bulmers Toffee Apple is what happens when a cider gets lost, panics, and decides to reinvent itself as dessert. It's absurdly sweet, aggressively sugary, and outrageously artificial, like someone melted a bag of caramel sweets and whispered the word apple over it. The sugar count alone is a crime scene, 61 grams in a single bottle. That's more sugar than some people eat in an entire day, and this thing expects you to drink it before dinner. You don't taste apples here. You taste syrup trying to convince you it once met an apple in a hallway. Even Bulmer's Original, which is hardly a monk making cider in an oak barn, looks classy standing beside this monstrosity. Toffee Apple takes everything wrong with flavoured ciders and pumps it full of extra sugar for no reason other than chaos. It's so sweet it practically buzzes. You take a sip and your teeth immediately start writing their will. The flavour hits you like a warm wave of caramel perfume, then collapses into a sticky fog that clings to your tongue long after you regret every decision that led you here. Nothing about this drink feels remotely natural. It tastes engineered, like a confectionery experiment that escaped quality control. Bulmer's Toffee Apple sits near the bottom because it isn't cider in spirit or flavour. It's candy trying to pass itself off as alcohol, and the disguise isn't even clever. If Frosty Jacks is the swamp, Toffee Apple is the carnival stall selling sugar-coated regret. 8. Old Mout Berries and Cherries. Old Mout Berries and Cherries has a fun label, bright colours, and a personality that screams summer festival. The problem is, it tastes like someone took a fruit squash, added a shot of alcohol, and called it a cider with a straight face. One bottle carries 39 grams of sugar, which is more than a can of Coke, and you can taste every single gram. It's sweet in a way that feels reckless. The first ingredients in the alcohol-free version are water and sugar, and honestly, it shows. There's barely any apple character in this drink. No tannins, no sharp bite, no orchard depth, just a syrupy wave of berry flavour so artificial it might as well have been downloaded. You get that first sip and think, oh, that's fun. Then halfway through the bottle, your tongue starts begging for mercy. Old Mout is charming, I'll give it that. It's cheerful, fruity, and incredibly easy to drink. Too easy. It's the kind of cider you hand to someone who says they don't like alcohol. And 5 minutes later, they're wondering why it tastes exactly like the juice boxes they had in primary school. That's not necessarily evil, but it's definitely not cider. It lands in 8th place because it feels like a soft drink on holiday pretending to be grown up. If you love sugary cocktails, you might adore it. But if you're looking for something that actually tastes like apples, you're in the wrong orchard entirely. 7. Kopparberg Strawberry and Lime. Kopparberg Strawberry and Lime is the superstar of fruit ciders, the poster child of festival season, and one of the most misleading drinks you'll ever meet. It's unbelievably sweet. Not regular sweet, catastrophically sweet. A single bottle packs 42 grams of sugar, which is enough to make your dentist scream into a pillow. The flavour hits you like a strawberry gummy sweet that's been soaking in syrup. It's juicy, it's playful, and it's absolutely relentless. You keep waiting for the apple to show up. It never does. The ingredients list reads like a fizzy fruit soda with a splash of alcohol. Added sugar, fruit syrups, flavourings, acids and preservatives, all working together to drown whatever faint whisper of cider once existed. This drink is wildly popular, and I get why. It's friendly, colourful and dangerously easy to drink. But if we're ranking actual ciders, this one doesn't even make the audition. It's an alcopop with ambition, a sugar bomb disguised as something rustic. You take a sip and think you're at a picnic, but halfway through the bottle your entire mouth feels coated in syrup. Kopparberg lands in 7th because it's fun but fraudulent, a sweet little liar wearing a cider badge. Enjoy it if you want a fruity buzz, but if you're chasing real cider character, this one ran in the opposite direction and didn't look back. 6. Rekorderlig Strawberry Lime. Rekorderlig Strawberry Lime is the classy cousin of Kopparberg. At least that is what the bottle wants you to think. You crack it open expecting something elegant, maybe a polite nod toward actual apples. Instead, what you get is a tidal wave of syrup that could knock a grown adult straight off a picnic bench. One bottle carries around 42 grams of sugar. That is a dessert in liquid form. One gulp feels like you are drinking berry cordial that just found out it could charge rent. The flavour is intense, but not in a charming way. It hits you with an aggressive, artificially sweet rush that smothers every hint of cider beneath a mountain of strawberry perfume. Look at the ingredients and the whole mystery unravels. Carbonated water, pear and apple wines, flavourings, colourings, citric acid, preservatives. It is basically a fizzy fruit syrup wearing high heels. Rekorderlig ranks slightly higher than Kopparberg only because it uses actual fermented wine in the base instead of sparkling sugar water. That tiny bit of structure helps, but not enough to rescue it from the overwhelming sweetness. You take a sip, smile for a second, then feel your taste buds start waving a tiny white flag. This drink is perfect for people who want their cider to taste like a cocktail they would order on holiday. But for anyone chasing the taste of apples and real orchard character, this is still miles away. Charming? Yes. Real cider? Absolutely not. 5. Strongbow Original. Strongbow is the most dependable face you see behind a pub counter. It is everywhere. It is familiar. It is the drink people order when they want cider without thinking. That reliability is both its strength and its curse. Strongbow is not offensively sweet like the fruit ciders below it, but it is also not inspiring. It sits right in the middle of the road, waving politely while real cider speeds past on both sides. The sugar content is moderate at just under 3 grams per 100 millilitres, which is a relief after swimming through syrup bombs. The problem is, the flavour lacks depth. Strongbow is built on apple concentrate, added sugar, and an industrial process that prioritizes consistency over character. It is filtered, pasteurized, and carbonated until all the rugged tannic edges are gone. What is left is crisp but strangely hollow. You sip it and think, yeah, that's fine. Which is both the best and worst thing you can say about a cider. It is a dependable background character. It will never surprise you, offend you, or challenge you, but it also never grabs you by the shoulders and makes you feel anything. Strongbow earns 5th place because it is a clear improvement from the sugar-soaked chaos below it, but it is not bold enough to join the elite. It is the McDonald's of cider. You know exactly what you are getting, and you will never be moved either way. 4. Bulmers Original. Bulmers Original is the cider that tries to shake your hand and say, look, I'm not perfect, but at least I'm trying. And honestly, it is. Compared to the caramel-coated disaster of Bulmers Toffee Apple, the original version feels like a responsible older sibling who finally got their life together. It has sweetness, but it is not overwhelming. It has acidity, but it is not sharp. It has balance, even if it is the safe kind. A pint has around 16 grams of sugar, which is not ideal, but nowhere near catastrophic. The ingredients list is clean enough for a mainstream cider. Apple juice from concentrate, water, sugar, and a standard preservative. It is not artisanal, but at least it is not pretending to be. You sip it and realise there is actual apple flavour hiding in there somewhere, trying its best to push through the pasteurised consistency. Bulmers Original tastes like the cider you hand to someone who has no idea what they want. It is friendly, simple, and widely available. And that is why it lands at number 4. It is not memorable, but it is not a disaster either. It holds its own in a pub lineup without embarrassing itself. This cider is the definition of acceptable. It will not offend you. It will not dazzle you. It will not change your life. But it will sit comfortably in your glass and behave itself, which is more than we can say for half the drinks below it. 3. Thatchers Gold. Thatchers Gold is the moment this ranking finally steps into real orchard territory. You crack open the bottle and immediately feel a shift. The aroma actually smells like apples instead of a corner shop sweet aisle. It is made by a family-run Somerset cidery with more than a century of experience, and you can taste every year of that history in the glass. This cider has backbone. The sugar sits at around 3 grams per 100 millilitres, which keeps it refreshing without turning it into a dessert. The real magic is in the apple varieties. Thatchers uses classic bittersweet apples like Dabinett and Harry Master's Jersey, apples that were born to be cider. These varieties bring tannins, depth, and that lovely gentle bitterness that mass-produced ciders always avoid. You take a sip, and the flavour rolls in smoothly. It is crisp, full, lightly sweet, and genuinely layered. Nothing feels artificial, nothing feels rushed. It is still technically mass-produced, but it somehow manages to taste handcrafted. That is rare. Thatchers Gold lands at number 3 because it balances approachability with authenticity. It is the perfect midpoint between supermarket consistency and true craft cider character. You get the charm of real apples without the aggressive dryness that scares some people. It is the cider you can pour for anyone and trust they will finish the glass smiling. 2. Magners Original. Magners. Original is the point where this ranking shifts from pretty good to, oh, this is the real deal. You pick up the bottle and instantly feel like you're holding something with actual pride behind it. Magners has this calm confidence, like it knows it doesn't need neon labels or candy flavours to get your attention. And for good reason. This cider is crafted with a patience most big brands abandoned decades ago. 17 different apple varieties go into the blend, each one adding its own little spark. Then they let it mature for up to 2 years. 2 whole years. That's practically ancient in mass market cider timelines. The result is obvious from the first sip. It isn't sugary, it isn't shallow. It starts crisp, opens into a gentle tannic warmth, and finishes with this smooth, slightly dry hum that reminds you Magners actually respects the fruit. Sure, it contains a bit more sugar than Thatchers, around 3.7 grams per 100 millilitres, but that maturity gives it a depth the cheaper ciders could never fake. Is it perfect? Not entirely. Some versions include colourings and a touch of added sweetness. But even with that, Magners stands tall. It feels honest. It feels deliberate. It feels like cider made by people who still care what apples taste like. Magners lands at number 2 because it's one of the few widely available ciders that genuinely taste like it spent time becoming something worth drinking. It's layered, grown up, and quietly brilliant. 1. Aspall Premier Cru. Aspall Premier Cru is elegance in a bottle. You don't even have to taste it to know. The brand carries itself with this gentle, effortless sophistication that most supermarket ciders could only dream of. Then you pour it and the smell alone tells you everything. This is real cider. Delicate, floral, dry, and beautifully crisp. It doesn't scream for attention, it just arrives and suddenly every other cider looks like it forgot to dress properly. The sugar content is low at around 2.8 grams per 100 millilitres, which keeps it bright without turning it into dessert. The flavour is the real star though. You taste apples that actually resemble apples. You taste the slight sparkle. You taste the clean acidity that dances instead of stomping. There's no syrupy aftertaste, no artificial fog, no heavy sweetness dragging it down. It's sharp, sophisticated, and perfectly balanced. Aspall doesn't rely on gimmicks, it relies on craft. Premier Cru blends fresh apple juice with carefully chosen concentrate in a way that preserves clarity, not compromise. There's depth here, but it never feels heavy. It finishes clean and quick like a well-played note. It earns the top spot because it's everything mass-market cider forgot to be. Honest, crisp, complex. You drink it, and suddenly remember cider isn't supposed to taste like melted sweets or sparkling sugar water. Aspall Premier Cru is the standard, the one others pretend they're close to. It's the crisp Suffolk reminder that real cider is still alive and thriving. So that's the lineup, from the catastrophically awful sugar-soaked imposters to the ciders that actually honour the apple. Some of these bottles should be quarantined, while others genuinely deserve a spot in your fridge. If you enjoyed watching the worst get completely demolished and the best finally celebrated, hit subscribe. There's plenty more brutally honest rankings coming your way.